who's this to forgive sins also? So that kind of shocked him. And then he tells her, he said to the woman, thy faith hath saved thee, go in peace. So he's dismissed her. He said, you can go. But wait. If we go over to John, we see, the way I picture it is, when he dismissed her, she starts to leave, and then they stop her. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, look at that, Simon's son. Now, I don't know if it's the same Simon, but I kind of catch myself wondering. Judas Iscariot means he's a man of Cariot. Okay, it's a place south of Hebron. Anyway, it's down south of Jerusalem, where Bethany was actually kind of southeast of Jerusalem and closer. But anyway, it's possible that this guy was Judas's father. So that makes an interesting thing there too. That means Judas was the son of a Pharisee. Interesting, right? The Pharisee believed that you're supposed to keep the law. I mean, you know, we know that we're supposed to keep the law, but I mean, they did it on their own power. And so it kind of makes me wonder about this Judas character. Now listen, he says, which should betray him? Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence and given to the poor? Now, it says something about he really didn't ask that because he cared about the poor. He just wanted the money because he was a thief. Anyway, but when the disciples saw it, now look, now it's gone from just Judas to the disciples. When the disciples saw it, they were like, why are you wasting all this? So they say pretty well the same thing. This is the reason. Judas didn't say it openly. He kind of murmured it. Because look at this next one. It says, and they murmured against her. So see, he kind of started it. I can't believe she gave all that. We could have done something. And then the rest of the disciples, that's a good point. We could have gave that to the poor. And now all of them, all the disciples in the room are kind of murmuring about, she shouldn't have wasted that. She's a bad person. She's already a sinner. But now she's wasted stuff that we could give to the poor, right? Now look at this. Now listen, when Jesus understood it, he said unto them, why trouble you the woman? What she did was good. She did this for my burial, right? But look, let's see. For in that she poured this ointment on my body. Now remember, one gospel said head, one gospel says feet. Here's why. She anointed his feet, she anointed his head. I think she did both. Okay? Because here he says body. He's implying the whole anointment. She did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you. Now this is the important part. Wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman had done, be told for a memorial to her. In other words, every place that this gospel goes out, this story will be included because of what this wonderful thing she did. Isn't that awesome? That's cool. Now they were going to put her down for doing this, but Jesus says, no, leave her alone. This is a memorial to her. She'll always be remembered for what she did that day. Okay. And again in Mark, and Jesus said, let her alone. Why troubles you ye her? She hath wrought this good on me. And he also makes the comment, you'll always have poor people. And again, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this shall be a token of her. Now listen, then one of the 12 called, now this is in Matthew, where it said just the disciples argued. Then he goes, then one of the 12 called Judas Iscariot went to the chief priest, and he said to them, what will you give me if I deliver him? So in other words, he's betraying Jesus. Check this out. He started the argument about the ointment. All of a sudden, Jesus turns it on him, and his pride is wounded. Plus, he missed out on some money, so he's going to make it another way. You see what I'm getting at? This guy's a schemer. I couldn't get it from the ointment, I get it from your hide. And so he goes to betray Jesus. It's important that we see that the character of Judas is what leads him to do these things. Okay. And again, it says Judas, in Mark, it says the same thing. He went to see how he could betray Jesus. Now, I included this just to, again, prove that the Lazarus, Mary, Bethany, it says right here in John, now a certain man was sick named Lazarus of Bethany, in the town of Mary and his sister Martha. It was Mary that anointed the Lord with ointment. So it is that same Mary, and I just included that too. Okay, so here's the lesson. Now this is the important part. Because as I was studying this kind of jumped out. Okay? Jesus had to teach the disciples to be like Mary and not like Judas. Remember, Judas went with them everywhere. Mary only visited her every once in a while. Actually, she did go with them from time to time as well. She was a disciple. There were female disciples. A lot of people don't know that, but I know you guys do. But he had to teach her to be like Mary and not, or teach the disciples to be like Mary, not like Judas. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Here's the first lesson in Mark that we'll see in this lesson. Because remember, Judas put himself in a position not only to judge Mary, but to judge Jesus. Because remember, he said this was a waste, and Jesus allowed it. So he was judging his own master or rabbi, right? Where Mary humbled herself at the feet of the rabbi, Jesus. So that's important. But listen to this. And he came to Capernaum, and being in a house, he asked them, "What is it that you disputed among yourselves in the way?" He's talking to the disciples. "What'd you guys argue about?" Now, God told him they were arguing. Or he may have even heard a little bit of the argument. So what were you guys arguing about? Now look in their reaction tells you that they know they were wrong. Listen to this. But they held their peace. For, by the way, they disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. They were arguing about who's going to be the greatest. Who's going to be the elder or the pastor or They're arguing about this junk. Now, is that okay? Let's see what Jesus says. I got to hit the button, don't I? And he sat down and called the 12 and said unto them, "If any man desire to be first, the same shall be last of all and servant to all." Whoa, they're trying to be the greatest. And he says you need to be the servant to be the greatest. That's not the greatest. That's not how the world works. That's how Jesus and the heavenly economy works, right? Okay, now look at this. This is the strife that happens when James and John ask a question. It's the same problem. Listen to this. And when the 10 heard it, what happened is that they came, I forgot I didn't include that. They came up to Jesus and they said, "Let us sit on your right hand and your left in your glory." And he says, "You don't know what you're asking." What were they asking? They were asking to be on the cross, right? Yes, the right and left crosses. And he said, "I can't give that to you, but that's already for other people." But he does say that they will follow him. So anyway, when all the rest of the disciples heard what these two asked, look at their reaction. And when the 10 heard it, because remember 12 minus 2. When the 10 heard it, they began to be much displeased with James and John. But Jesus called them to him and said to them, "Ye know that they which are accounted to rule over Gentiles exercise lordship over them, and their great ones exercise authority upon them." Listen to this. But so shall it not be among you. You're not supposed to be the boss and the slave driver over your fellow Christians. Right? But whosoever will be great among you shall be your minister. And whosoever of you will be the chief shall be servant of all. For even the Son of Man came to be a minister, not to be ministered unto, but to be a minister and give his life for the ransom of many. So we're not supposed to be arguing over who's in the chief's spot, right? Is that what I'm understanding by that? Over and over and again, we're told in the Bible not to do like politics. That's what that is, right? Politics, when hey, vote for me, put me in this position, I'll do it. What? Are we supposed to be arguing on that? No, that's not. We're supposed to love each other, right? And that's not love. Listen to this. And Jesus